What are your goals with your coaching company?
So Cashflowpreneur, that's my coaching company. We focus on helping people achieve financial freedom. So there are three types of freedom that people pursue. Number one is financial freedom, which means you have the money to do whatever you want to do. Then you have time freedom, which means you have time to do the things that you want to do. Sometimes people just have one or the other. They have lots of money but no time, or they have lots of time but no money. And then there's a third one that sometimes people forget. And that one is geographical freedom. Geographical freedom means that you can be anywhere in the world and doing whatever you want, and you have enough money to do what you want. So the biggest goal for us is to help as many people as possible to achieve those three freedoms in life, because they're very, very important, and they help you take things to the next level. When it comes to your business, your lifestyle, you can start buying the things that you want to buy. You can start spending your time in the places that you want to spend your time. You can hang out with whoever you want, wherever you want. And I think that's the beauty of it. A lot of people say they want to make a lot of money, but really they don't want the money. They want the freedom that that money can give them. And so money becomes like a tool that gives them that freedom to do whatever they want, whenever they want. And we are helping people achieve that reality through our programs. And so our goal is to help as many people as possible achieve that in the shortest amount of time possible. It's not a race, but we help people build systems that produce consistently, and also give them the opportunity to hand that off even to their children or their grandchildren moving forward.
Do you have any advice for young people who want to start their own business or want to start investing, but they don't have a lot of money for doing it?
Yeah, definitely. So one piece of advice that I always give people who want to get started on their own business or investing is number one, the easiest way to make money is going to be to learn some sort of high-paying skill. That could be copywriting, that can be content editing, that could be sales. I see so many people, if they can just learn that one skill set and use it to generate a lot of money at the beginning, they can use that to start a business. And that's basically what I was doing. I learned a high-skilled trade. I learned how to trade on the markets, and I use that money to start a business. And so my recommendation is always the safest way: spend 6 months just learning how to do something. Learn how to create marketing campaigns, or how to run a marketing campaign, or how to maybe run ads for a business, or whatever it might be. There are high-paying skills like that that you can learn just to generate some money to then start a business. Because without capital, it's very difficult. And so if you can learn that skill, if you can get at least a little bit of money to start investing, you can use that capital to then grow it exponentially.
Shall the person who wants to start something be ready for losing everything at the beginning?
It's very possible. When I was first starting out, even in trading, I lost everything maybe like 10 times or more. But if I quit, let's say I lost everything, let's say 10 times. If I quit on the 9th time, I never would have made a successful move. But I kept going, because if you believe in the idea in general, if you believe in that investment or that business, you just have to keep going and you keep trying again. But what I see a lot of very successful people do is they'll take a high income skill, they'll learn something, they'll make some money. Let's say they have $10,000 or $20,000, and they'll invest into a couple different companies. They'll start 3 businesses, and then maybe 2 of them will fail, but 1 of them will succeed. So now they at least have a higher chance of succeeding, and then they just put all the rest of their money into that successful business. So you have to try, and then something works, and then you double down on that.
I also know that you have a company working with AI. May you tell us more about it?
Yeah, so we are using ChatGPT to act as a salesperson for people. So it's called Setter AI, and this company is meant to replace entire sales teams for people. So let's say somebody has 50 salespeople. You can replace that entire team of people using this bot. This bot will call your prospects, it will talk to them, it will text them, and it will reach a specific goal. Let's say your goal is for that prospect to set an appointment with your sales team. This AI can reach out to them and act like a real person. It talks like a real person, it texts like a real person, it can answer all their questions, and their only goal is to set an appointment with your sales team. So now, instead of paying 50 employees to do that, you can have one AI bot reach out to all of your prospects at the same time and set as many appointments as you want. So we've seen good success with that. And we're helping companies implement that into their businesses in order to replace part of their workforce. And then maybe instead of 50 employees, they have one or two that are just managing what the software is doing.
Top 3 investment picks for next year. Oh, it's a secret.
For me, well, for me personally, there's a couple industries that I'm focused on, and it's not like financial advice or anything like that, but for me, I'm very focused on private equity. So acquiring equity in companies that I like, and like I mentioned, those blue collar companies. So maybe a plumbing company or tile or framing or something that people don't really want to do, because I think those companies are going to grow exponentially. Secondly, another industry is real estate for me. And there's many different types of real estate that I've done before. I've done Airbnb, I've done mid to long-term rentals, that's like maybe month to month or years. And I've also done like multifamily, stuff like that. So apartment buildings, and you have all these different types of real estate. And I see a huge opportunity especially because the market is down right now. So people who are buying these properties with a risky debt situation where if interest rates change, they're in a bad position, those people are now having to let go of some of those properties. And so I can buy them at a discount, and when the market is back up, I will be in a great position. And then thirdly, private jet charters. So I'm very, very interested in aviation and all the different things that are happening there. And so for me, that's something that I'm passionate about. I like it. I mean, who doesn't like airplanes? You know, so for me, it's just something, it is kind of a passion project, but we found a way to make them very profitable for people as well. So besides investing into it myself, I want to continue into like service. So providing service or like maintenance, also pilot training. So not necessarily flight school. This is not like to train the pilot, but how to fly specific jets with a simulator and stuff like that. Those are interesting fields for me, and I'm exploring different ways to do that, as well as like jet fuel. So being a fuel provider at an airport. So that's what I'm expanding into there. So private equity, real estate, and aviation.
How and why did you start to be interested in private jet charters?
It's kind of an interesting story. So we have a family friend who my family knew their parents. My parents were friends with their parents down in South America. I lived there for a year, and so they met them down in South America, and we reconnected a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And when we reconnected, their children had grown up to be closer to my age.
Yeah.
And so then I started talking with their son, and it was interesting because we initially were just talking about like hobbies that we like, fishing, boating, stuff like that. And eventually he was sharing his hobby, which was aviation, and he was working at the airport washing airplanes. And so he took me to the airport. He's like, hey, let me go introduce you to the CEO of the company. And so he introduced me, and we started chatting, and I had already a community of investors that I was working with. And I said to him, why don't we do something with airplanes too? Because we're buying these assets, we're finding ways to make them cash flow. Why don't we also do this with a private jet? And he thought I was crazy, but I was like, no, watch, we're going to do it. And he didn't believe me at all. But we did it. And so now we're in a position where we started buying these jets and giving it to them to charter. And the more I've done it, the more I like it. And I realized that I also wanted to be an owner of the charter company as well. So I bought them, and we're just continuing to grow and expand. And I want to increase the fleet to a lot of airplanes all over the country, and not just the US, but internationally as well, because the certificate that we have for air charters allows us to do international charters. So that's one reason that I bought into that company, is because it's something that I really enjoy, and I think jets are beautiful, and there's great cash flowing opportunities.
How do you maintain your emotional and mental health under high level of pressure?
For me, it's a matter of having constants in my life. So I have things that are very stable and constant. So for example, I go to the gym every morning. That's a stable thing that's very constant for me. And no matter if I'm stressed or not stressed, I still do it. And for me, it's kind of like a grounding point. So I have that. I have things like my faith that grounds me, that's a constant for me. I know that that doesn't change. If everything else in my life changes, that's not going to change. The gym is not going to change. Certain things that I have in my life, they just don't change. And so having these like constants in your life, it keeps you grounded, and you can always go back to them, and you have them. They don't fluctuate like maybe the economy fluctuates or business fluctuates. Those things can always change. And I think another important part of that is also friends. So having certain friends in your life, no matter what you're going through in your life, your friends are not going to change. They're going to be there in good times and bad times, and those are the best friends, you know. And actually sometimes you need bad times to find out who those people are. And when you have not so good times, you see which friends were still there and which ones were not. So that I think can open your eyes, and you then know who your real friends are, and those are the people that you spend your life with. Your friends will change over time. So let's say you grew up with one person from your childhood, and one of you became successful, one of you didn't. The person that didn't become successful, it may be challenging for them to be friends with the successful person, because they realized that they had access to the same amount of time, they had access to the same resources, they had everything the same, but they didn't take the steps in their life to also become successful. So it's a constant reminder for them. It can be a constant reminder for them that, oh, this could have been you, but you were lazy. Or this could have been you, but you decided to drink and party and do all these things to waste your time, instead of focusing and working, and you have the same opportunities, but you just didn't take them. And so that can be a painful experience for people. And I think that's why you'll see successful people, they have to leave behind many of their friends, and later in life they find other people. Somebody on the internet will be very supportive of you once you're successful, because they didn't see the beginning.
Yes.
They just saw the success, and so they'll be your friend. But you know, I still do have friends from childhood who maybe had a bit of a different journey in life, but we're still friends, and we maintain that friendship, because it's not everybody that is going to feel guilty, or maybe they're happy where they're at, you know. And if they're happy, that's great. I'm happy where I'm at.
When you were young, what was your dream?
Yeah, I always had a bit of an entrepreneurial mindset. I wanted to be a business owner, and I kind of forgot about that when I was in high school, college, because I started seeing all my friends, they weren't starting businesses, they were all going into jobs.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to work for this company or that company. And so I kind of forgot about those things that I wanted, because I was unsure on how to do them. And so I started focusing on maybe just getting a really good job, and then I thought maybe someday I'll start a business, because that's all I saw. And not many of my friends own businesses. Actually, I don't think any of them owned businesses back then. And so for me, it was a bit of a journey to try and test different things and find something that I liked. But I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I thought I wanted to be a doctor. And then I realized that I don't really want to be a doctor. And then I just decided to study general business. And the more I studied business, I realized that, okay, this is something that I could do and that I like and that I enjoy. But maybe I have to get some active income first, and I have to go work a job somewhere, learn, make some money, and then use that money to start a business.
I also would like to ask you about your family, if it's okay.
Sure.
Because I know it's very important. Parents also influence on us a lot. What did you learn from your parents?
So my parents, they actually owned a company. It was like a logistics company. It was a while back now, but back then in my childhood, that's what they did. And I saw that they were always busy and working hard. So I'd say one of the things that I learned from them is how to work hard. You know, and I even, like, especially from my mother, she always worked super hard to make sure that the business ran well, and they weren't lazy about it at all. They managed everything really well, and that's one thing that I got to see as a child. And in the summer, when I didn't have school, I would always go to their office with them every morning. And I would just see how they work, and I'll see how busy everybody is, and that left an impression on me for sure. And I wanted to participate too, so I would always ask them to give me something to do, and I don't think they paid me actually.
What did you do? Do you remember?
Just random stuff in the office. I think I was maybe like 10 years old, so I would help maybe file papers alphabetically in the filing cabinet, or like fill out documents or something like that. Sometimes they would ask me to make phone calls, so they had a logistics company with drivers, and so sometimes I would have to call the drivers, and sometimes the drivers would yell at me, and then I would be like, "Mom, they're yelling at me." So that was cool. You know, I did that, and it was long hours because we'd get there early in the morning and we would leave late at night, 9, 10 p.m. And so I got used to that. I knew that when 4 p.m. hit, my parents weren't like, okay, we're done for the day. They kept working. And so I think that left an impression on me where I understood that you work until the work is done, not until you feel like stopping.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your hobby when you were younger?
One of my biggest hobbies is fishing. I love fishing. So it's changed for sure. I used to just go to the river, to the lake by my house in my childhood. Now I've kind of changed to a more sophisticated type of fishing, like fly fishing. I really love fly fishing, and especially going to exotic locations to fly fish. So I've been pursuing some different species of fish which are rare or considered to be like a trophy fish. And just traveling to different parts of the world to pursue those. I don't really do it much anymore, maybe once a month if that, maybe once every couple months. But I still love doing it, and whenever I can find just a little bit of time, even if it's just 1 or 2 hours, I'll always try to go fishing.
You also were playing the guitar and
Yeah.
writing the music. What about
Yeah.
this hobby?
Yeah, I do that all the time. I'm involved in a church in Seattle, and so I play there 3 times a week. Yeah, whenever I'm home. So we have Wednesday and then twice on Sunday that I play and I sing and I write music and stuff like that. So
How do you find time for it?
well, I have certain times of the week that I have set aside for like rehearsals and stuff like that. We have a whole band, so we schedule time with our band, even if it's late at night. Like our last rehearsal, I think we had at 11 p.m. at night, from 11 p.m. almost until 1 a.m. And one of our band members has a whole studio set up at his house, so we'll go there and we'll practice and do stuff like that. And it's really fun. I enjoy it, and I think it stimulates the creative side of my brain, which then helps me also think more logically and think well during the week. But you need to relax that part of your brain and think more with the other side, with the creative side, because the creative side, I think, makes you more successful with the logical side.
Creative.
Yeah.
Wow. But you didn't post a lot about your hobbies in Instagram, for example. Would you like to share about your hobby with your followers?
Yeah, I've always thought about that, but I find that I'm very critical of myself in everything, in business and in life in general. And so I've written maybe 20, 25 songs, but I feel like they're all bad. And so I want to keep working until I feel like a song is good, and then I'll release it. But it's part of art. You never feel like it's good enough. And so you keep working and working and working and improving and making it better. So one day I will, but because I have other things to post, I just kind of avoided posting that until I feel like it's a good and finished product, which we're actually working on an album right now with our band, which hopefully we will release soon. But I just don't feel like it's good. It might be good, it might be bad, but in my opinion, it's not good enough to release yet. It is very personal, I would say. You don't write music. I realize that you don't write music based on logic at all. It's it comes from your heart. And that's the only way that it can be good. It was a very interesting realization for me, because I'm like, where are these words and this music, where is it coming from? And I had to realize that it was just coming from deep inside me. And so I want to make sure that is a finished product and polished, as well as having that heart side to it.
About what will be your album?
Well, it's a bunch of different things, so you'll just have to wait and see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in conclusion of our conversation, we will have short questions for short answers. How do you stay motivated and continue to set new goals for yourself?
For me, goals are not static. They don't stop at one place. And I always want to set milestones instead of goals. Now, some people could call them goals, but the thing about goals is that when you reach that goal, the momentum stops. And I want to maintain that momentum. So I'm motivated when I hit milestones. And so I set something that I can hit this week, some milestone that I can achieve this month, and then this year, and then maybe in the next 5 years. And as I keep hitting those milestones, it motivates me to continue being more successful and to continue reaching the next milestone.
What are your daily habits which help you to achieve success?
For me, I have some daily habits that I do every single morning. So for me, it's going to the gym. I love going to the gym every morning. I try never to miss it. Sometimes I do because of travels or schedules, but I try to go to the gym every single morning. And then another habit that I have is journaling. So I spend time meditating and praying and journaling and preparing myself for the day before I face the things that I have that day. So I usually start my meetings later on in the day, because I need time to prepare. I need to fill my own cup before I can fill the cup of other people and help them to achieve that level of success.
What is the biggest achievement in this year?
One of my biggest achievements this year are all the changes that we're making in our business right now. And we've improved, I would say, maybe 10 times. So from where we were exactly a year ago, I would say we're 10 times better off where we are right now because of the team that I've hired, mostly due to the team and the things that they've helped us build and all the things that we've done to make it easier for people to learn and to reach that level of financial freedom through the programs that we offer. So making it simpler, more efficient, and easier to understand so that they can achieve those things faster.
What is money for you?
Money is a tool that allows me to achieve the things that I want to achieve. So it's kind of like time. Time is a tool. We have lots of time. I believe that there's lots of money in the world as well. And so time becomes like a tool that we can use to do this or do that. But really, money doesn't change people. If you'll notice, some people will say that money changes you. It doesn't change you, it just magnifies who you already were. So if you were a bad person, if you have money, you're going to be a really bad person. If you were a good person and you have money, you're going to be a really good person.
Do you have any advice on how someone can find their own mission?
Yeah, I would look at their life and think about the things that make them upset or make them angry or bother them. And the things that bother them, it's very possible that it is your calling or your mission in life to fix that problem. So for me, something that really bothered me is how hard it is for a young entrepreneur or an investor to get started in this industry and even try to get some money to start a business or learn how to start a business or learn how to invest. And that was a big problem that I faced, and it made me really upset. And so I decided to take the responsibility and learn it on my own. And now I'm teaching other people how to do it too. So that's how I found my mission. And I think for a lot of people, that's a really easy way to just find something that they can be passionate about.
What is your superpower?
I think my superpower is building relationships with people and helping them achieve what their goals are. So I always make it a priority in my life to help people achieve things that they want to achieve, whatever their goal is, whether it's financial or in business. I always love connecting people, introducing them to my contacts. So I love connecting people with people who would be valuable for them and continuing to build those relationships and adding value to those people's lives. But it's not a matter of me going to them and saying, hey, how can I add value? I need to figure out on my own how I can do those things and then just doing it. Because if I'm asking them, I'm just creating work for them.
Can you share the best advice which you received in your life?
The best advice that I received in my life had to do with how big I'm thinking. And it wasn't direct advice. It was one of those times where I paid a coach to be part of their program, and he was just teaching in general. But he talked about thinking bigger and dreaming bigger, because everybody's moving at the same, maybe at the same speed or on the same journey. And the journey is always, let's say, this big. Now, the person who's trying to make $10, their journey is this big. The person that wants to make 10 million, their journey is this big. The person that wants to make 100 million, their journey is this big. They're just on different planes. So you have different planes. It's the same amount of work, the same amount of effort, the same amount of time, but they have bigger dreams. And so the bigger that you can dream, even if you mess up, if you're trying to make 100 million and you mess up, maybe you'll still make 80 million, but it's going to be better than the person who was only trying to make, $100,000.
What are 3 skills which will be helpful in the future?
I think there's a mix of skills that we can learn. So number 1, I think, is financial literacy, is just understanding in general how finance works, how to leverage debt, how to leverage equity. The second thing is a little bit more technical. It's artificial intelligence. There's a lot of opportunity with artificial intelligence, and I think that it's going to create literally trillionaires in our lifetime. And the person that's going to be a trillionaire is going to be somebody who's involved in artificial intelligence. And then the third one is building authentic relationships. So you have artificial intelligence, and as it starts taking on more and more involvement in our lives, we're going to go out of our way and even spend extra time or money or efforts to find those authentic relationships. I think the biggest thing is to not be afraid to take risks, because you'll see all these people who are kind of successful, or maybe they work a great job, and that was a big thing for me. I thought that's what I wanted, and once I got it, I realized that it wasn't fulfilling at all, and I was just working a job, and I didn't want to be average, so I would learn how to hate the average things in life. And number two, I would say, is not to be afraid to take risks. Of course, calculated risks and risk management, but taking risks is what allows you to reach an extraordinary life.
Thank you so much for your answers. I think it's really very useful and can be helpful for other people too. And thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.